What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Fall Obsession podcast episode. My name is Sam Thrash. I'm your show host over here, and thank you guys for tuning in. Our podcast is brought to you guys in partnership with our friends over at Hoot Camo. If you haven't checked out Hoot Camo yet, you need to. There'll be a discount code later in the episode, so stay tuned for that. This week, this is an awesome episode. Hope you guys enjoy it. I have two of our own team members on the show who have never been on the podcast before, Mike Petrosky and Lawson McKee. They are some newer team members here at Fall Obsession, and they are hot and heavily involved in our program and our company or organization here, and really enjoy getting to sit down and just talk hunting with these guys. We talk whitetails, we talk kind of deer behavior and hunting tactics. We talk about their predator hunting efforts. We talk about tracking dogs. We talk about the podcast that they started and a whole lot of other stuff. This is just one of those conversations where you sit down with a couple of guys, you feel like you've known them forever, and just talk hunting and have a good time. So, hope you guys get that vibe and hope you guys enjoy this podcast. We just dropped a couple new t-shirts at fallobsession.com, and these are some very special shirts in my opinion. They are conservation related, and the messages on them express that. And on top of that, every purchase of these t-shirts, Fall Obsession is donating our profits to a couple of different wildlife and hunting conservation organizations, such as Howl for Wildlife or Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. These are organizations that we believe are doing some vital work on the forefront of our preserving our wildlife, our rights as hunters, our lands that we hunt on, and everything we got going on right now during these trying times right now as hunters and outdoorsmen. We have those shirts designs at fallobsession.com. So if you guys are inclined to go pick one up, you will be supporting some hunting and conservation efforts by doing so. Fallobsession.com is also where you guys can find all of our content, our shows, our films, our podcasts, our gear reviews, our educational content. It all filters through there. Tons of different subjects for you guys to sift through. So make sure you guys go to the website, hit us up on social media. All the normal platforms that you are active on, Fall Obsession is probably active on there as well. Our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe over there. We got a lot of great content on the YouTube channel. And if you like watching the podcast videos, that's where you can find our podcast videos exclusively on our YouTube channel. So make sure you are subscribed over there. Subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening on. That way, you know every week when we drop a new episode. And last but not least, if you guys haven't checked out Carbon TV, go look it up. It is a free hunting and outdoor streaming platform where they have shows, films, podcasts, live feeds, all sorts of cool stuff on there for you guys. And again, it's free. You will find four different Fall Obsession produced shows on that platform. This podcast, our staff inspired video podcast series called Couch Chats, is on there, as well as our two different hunting shows titled Texas Dirt and Midwest Mindset. Again, guys, it's Carbon TV. Go check it out. And on that note, we are going to get Mike and Lawson in here for this awesome conversation. Hope you guys enjoy. You are listening to another Fall Obsession podcast.
The power lies within that middle ground.
Hunting transformed my life.
I think you have to be built somewhat different.
That Dale Brisby's a super puncher.
It's
Hey,
even
we need to get Pop-Tarts on the next Walmart order. I'm serious.
Because to come into this country and stay dedicated to that, it was pretty awesome.
If it's only for one, then you've done your job.
We have to do what's right for the wildlife, and that's our responsibility as hunters.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Fall Obsession podcast episode driven by our friends over at Hoot Camo. My name is Sam Thrash, hosting you guys, and I'm recording with two of our own team members here at Fall Obsession this week. There are just a couple of good old boys who love hunting more than most, I would say. But Mike Petrosky, Lawson McKee, they're joining me this week. Welcome to Fall Obsession podcast, guys.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, how's it going, Sam?
It's going good, man. I've been looking forward to this one. I like doing our kind of in-house episodes, as I like to call them. They're always always a good time hanging out with Fall Obsession team members and
We
everything. But
we kind of feel like superstars getting an email to ask to join it.
Oh yeah.
I
Mike
don't.
texts me like, "I got your email." And like 30-second, Mike's like, "Did you get an email?"
I'm sending him screenshots. I'm like, look what we got.
I don't know why, because like I told y'all before, I'm just a Texas boy who gets to sit down and try to find time every week to do a podcast. So
I feel the
that's
time thing.
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel. But man, both of you guys are kind of new and hitting the ground running at Fall Obsession for the most part within the last year or so. Um, if just for our listeners' sake, you guys want to kind of introduce yourselves and just tell us where you're from and what you hunt in your local area, we'll start there and then get this thing going.
Yeah, well, I'm Mike Petrosky. We're from Wallsburg, West Virginia. Promote for the most part, I hunt whitetail. Started dabbling in turkey hunting a little bit. When I met Lawson, he took me dove hunting, goose hunting, you know, pretty much everything. So now it's just like a whole array of every animal that we can get our hands on. We're chasing them all year long. Coyotes now. It's just it's a never ending cycle, really. So.
Yeah.
I'm Lawson McKee. Actually, I just made field staff like last week with Fall Obsession, so I was pretty excited about that. But grew up in southern Arkansas, where it was like the duck hunting capital of the world, and
Mm.
then through work and pipeline, I moved here. I've lived in West Virginia since 2015, so I really I wouldn't trade for nothing. Everybody asks me why'd you move, man. It's beautiful up here. You get like such an array of everything here, and the weather's great. But I mean, I think my Facebook says there's no off season, and it's for me it's true. I mean, I coyote hunt year round, and then I'm diehard turkey. So I'm like
Yeah.
I'm scared to death to do an elk hunt because my wife will probably shoot me. But that's like the dream hunt because it's like a mix of turkey to deer, and I'm that's the big bucket list, I guess you say.
Oh yeah, man, I will tell you, like, just because I grew up hunting in Texas, whitetail, pig, predator, all that kind
Yep.
of stuff. I didn't have any kind of Western experience spot and stalk, and last year doing my first elk hunt of my life, man, it was insane. It really was. Like it was the hardest hunt I've ever done in my
Yep.
life by far. And granted, I bit off a pretty intense experience, but man, it is something else. And bow hunting too, on top of that, is something
I'm
else.
just so worried. I hear one bugle and it's like, like a turkey. If one gobbles at me, I kind of pride myself in being a pretty good caller. Uh, if I can't get one to come in, I'm like, let's go find one that plays.
Yeah.
A turkey, I just jump in the truck and run to the next farm. With the elk, it's like, okay, I got to walk 5 miles. So that's a whole different array of things. But I'm just worried if I hear one bugle, I'll call work and just tell them, hey, I'll be back when I get back. And like, if you want to hire me back, that's fine, but I'm out. Like, that's just how I am. I mean, when I pipelined, I would quit a job in the middle of a pipeline just to turkey hunt.
Wow.
Just
Yeah.
I ate up with it.
Yeah. Why did Lawson quit his job, sell the house,
Yeah, that's
move to the mountains,
that's
heard an elk
I,
bugle?
I
He's
used to
gone.
have a general manager, and he'd like, dude, why do you quit me every year? Then you call me back in like 3 months to see if I'm still working. I'm like, because I go turkey, and he's like, how about you just leave and tell me when you'll be back? I'm like, well, that makes it even easier. I said, I'm
Yeah.
out.
Why not? You're
Yeah.
giving me hunting season off. Say less, man.
He's like, most people want to leave for deer hunting. I'm like, everywhere I went, I worked in Texas. I could find deer in Texas. I worked in Kansas, Nebraska. Like, you can find a deer anywhere. But man, when you start chasing turkeys, it's just, I don't know, something comes inside of me. It just eats me up.
Yeah. Man,
I
that's
got, I got,
awesome.
I got, I got Mike in a little harder into it than he ever has. It's a good time. I think youth season. I think the kid we took, his gun got bumped off. I think opening morning he missed 10 birds, and it was
Oh
just like
wow.
nonstop action. I mean, some big birds too. And he was like, "Okay, this is what turkey hunting's all about." I'm like, "Dude, you buckle up. We're ready to roll."
Dude, you got him on 10 birds?
Oh yeah,
And got them on video too.
Oh my
Every
word.
every single
yeah,
one.
dude. I'm telling you, I made up with it. Like, if you want to load up and come up in the spring, it's game on.
Tons of places to go.
Yeah, if you're able to get a guy on 10 birds in his first hunt, I might have a shot at killing something. Golly, man.
Yeah, I think that's why I love this area so much because it was just overpopulated with turkey, and probably not in the last 2 years. I just started seeing other people hunt them. Like, there's only a handful of people I ran into, like, they turkey hunt. And then you go to a lot of farms, it's almost like going to Ohio. Hey, can I turkey hunt? I don't care. You can't hunt deer. That's fine. I don't want to. I want to hunt your turkeys. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's why it helped. I mean, I got like probably 50 farms. We just run and gun wide open.
Kind of like it went in and out of like a fad almost.
Yeah.
People, they were in it, and then 10 years they wouldn't hunt them. Now they're like super overpopulated, like he was saying. They're everywhere. I mean, you can go down any road, early in the morning, and they're just walking down the road. Just
it's a whole new world up here, Sam. I'm telling you. Like,
That's
I've chased
insane,
turkeys in Texas. It ain't a lot of fun. Too many snakes. I'm not a big snake guy, so I left Texas as quick as I came in.
Yeah, we definitely have a plethora of critters down here that you gotta deal with and everything. I strictly bow hunt, but like on our place, I carry a sidearm everywhere I go just because you never know when you're gonna run across a snake or a turkey or not a turkey, a pig or something like that. So yeah, it's
you can keep that. I mean, I'm glad somebody gets the experience, but I kind of pride myself in not being scared of a lot of things. And snakes, I will probably shoot somebody over a snake, so you can keep them.
Hey man, I'm right there with you. Like I do not do snakes well at all, and I live down here. Like snakes are not my friend. I probably scream like a little girl every time I see one. When I was a kid, we call it a farm. It was 10 acres that I grew up on and everything. And I shot a 6 foot rattlesnake outside my bedroom window one day. Like it was
well, they don't get to experience that up here. So when I moved up here, like almost everybody you meet just goes and picks up a snake and they're like, "Hey, look at this thing." And I'm like, "No, you look at it and leave me alone." They're like, "Why are you so like afraid of snakes?" I'm like, "Listen, I grew up in the South. Everything either wants to bite or sting you, and they're all poisonous. Here, you'll barely find a rattlesnake in the state of West Virginia. You got to go south. You might find one in PA, and you might find a copperhead from time to time. Other than that, it's all garter snakes, black snakes. I get it. You weren't scared of them. They didn't kill you when they bit you. I said,
Yeah.
I grew up where you walk past a cottonmouth, and he comes and sit and wait for you to walk back. Like, no, thank you.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I remember like one of my first houses when we moved to Northern Arkansas had stingrays. Or not
Oh,
stingrays,
like
scorpions.
scorpions, yeah.
And we had those brown scorpions in our house, and like you had to sleep with your shoes in your bed, and when you got up, you had to put your shoes on so you didn't step on a scorpion. I'm like, I'm terrified. I still to this day when I get out of bed, I'm like looking around.
No, not about
But
that
you
life.
see it all the time. I'm sure you see them all the time down there.
Yeah, we see them not where I live. At least I haven't really seen any like on the couple acres that we live on, but down there on our hunting property, the Texas dirt property, we've seen a few of them out there. Mainly, it's like if you're getting in your ground blind, like for the first sit of the season, or if the wind or the cows knock your ground blind over and it's in shambles on the ground and you got to pick it up, that's when you got to watch out because that's where those scorpions like to lay up and everything. And I've picked up a damaged ground blind a time or two and shook 3 or 4 of them out of there before. So you just got to be ready for it.
I'll go toe with a coon any day. I'm not fighting scorpion.
No, I'll steer clear, man. I'll stomp them into the dirt. I'm not about that life for sure. So. Well, to get into some hunting and some talk, I think the timing couldn't be more perfect. Mike, you shot a deer like a night or two ago. You got an early start to the season, and this podcast is coming hot on the heels of that. So tell us about that, man, because that was a pretty awesome looking buck that you got.
Barely 24 hours old.
I know it wasn't even 24 hours.
Not even 24 hours. I love it.
So it was last night. So I have a property, and it's a couple towns over. The guy that I had it, he just gave me full reign. He said, "You do whatever you want with it." So I went up this has been going on for 2 years. I brush hogged, cleaned everything, planted the whole property with food plot, whatever I could. And been trying to get a good buck. There's several hundred acres that butt into it, which I know they're good deer there. And I'm trying to pull them in because there's some real thick patches and, and like I said, the food and the waters, everything's there, the springs. But anyway, so all the work I put into that, I finally this year got to capitalize from that, and been watching this nice 9 point. He was an 8 and then had a little sticker down by his base, and so I went been watching trail cameras and trying to pattern him and get everything going, and just happenstance we had this all day rain Tuesday. It
There
was
you
a
go.
drizzle, miserable rain. So Lawson, I'm talking to him. He says, "You gonna hit the stand, Wednesday evening?" He said, "Those deer are gonna be moving." So there I went, right back to the same spot I've been sitting since opening day. Try to, because the deer's daylighting every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it usually comes like 7:15 ish, right before last light. He showed up 6:45, and I'm like, he come walking in, and those other deer just they ducked and ran. I mean, he stood shoulders over top of the rest of them. It was
He's
one of
top
the
dog.
biggest,
big mature buck for sure.
one of the biggest bodied deer I've seen. Other than in Ohio, I shot one last year, and it was even bigger than that. I mean, an Ohio deer are usually pretty large, but yeah, so it couldn't have worked out any better. I got it all on film. I hit single lung, and it went out the liver on the other side. He didn't go 60 yards and crashed right out in the right of way down from the food plot. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like living through Mike right now because I'm like one leg, peg leg,
So I'm there in the tree, and I'm replaying the video on the camera. I took a picture. I sent it to him. It says he tracks with his dog, and he says, "I'll meet you at the truck." I said, "Well, hold on, this I've never heard that before." So I call him. I said, "What do you mean meet me at the truck? We going to get dinner, or are we going to go find this thing?" He goes, "Oh no, bud, it's dead." So it was great. It was just great. He brought the kids, and we blood trailed it, and it, like I said, didn't go 60 yards, and it was a great deer. Everything just paid off. All the hard
Yeah.
work from the last couple of years, and all the equipment I rented, and seeds, and it
Jack we was playing the food plot the day after I blew my knee up.
Yep, he was up there riding on the tractor. He said, "But I can't help much, but I'll till for you." So
Yeah.
it was
That's
great.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. I love it when a plan comes together like that. I can't bring myself this early in the year down here to hunt evenings just yet.
Oh, I
Unless
can
I got a
imagine.
buck doing exactly exactly what I want him to do, which I don't right now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's too dadgum hot down here for me to
You're
want to
probably
hunt.
through the 90s, aren't you?
Yeah, we're still floating in the 90s. Like yesterday, I went out and I did hunt the morning. I got up, drove out there. The property's an hour and a half from where I live, so got up early, drove out there, got in a stand for the morning hunt. Hunt in the morning, almost shot a doe, but one of the freaking little younger ones busted me right when I was about to draw back. So gotta deal with that. But then I had plans just to piddle around the property and do a few things and maybe walk some property that I hadn't really touched or dealt with here recently, just kind of look at some trails and stuff, which there's probably some people hearing me say that and they're like, "Oh man, why are you doing that in October?" It's like, well,
Well, it's a whole different world.
it is for sure. But anyway, point is, like, I got done around 3 o'clock with everything I wanted to do, and I've sweat through a shirt. I'm just sopping wet and stinky, and I'm like, I don't even like, I'm not gonna hunt tonight. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going
going
home.
home. Yeah.
So it's too hot. Mornings are fine, but evening time right now, man, I'm just like, nah,
And
I'm
we
out.
actually have a frost advisory out for tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
We
I'd
had
kill
a
for that right now.
we had a
That's
30 to 40 degree shift in weather and temperature in the
no
last 2 days.
kidding.
Yeah, Monday was like 83, I think.
Yep.
I went, we did something Monday afternoon. I videoed it was 83 degrees. Rained all day Tuesday. Wednesday morning was 41.
Yep.
No kidding. So is that typical weather for this time of year for y'all
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
okay.
usually.
It'll hit what we call an Indian summer. It'll cool off like this, and the next week might be 80s for like a week to two.
Yep.
And then it'll run 50 to 60 highs for probably to the end of October.
So when's y'all's rut?
No, it varies
Yeah.
geographically. So
Okay.
3 towns down could be in full swing, and 2 towns back up, there's no movement at all. It just you can't really put a date on
I'll
it.
say a very controversial statement. We have so many does, we don't see a major rut.
Nope.
I got
You
you.
know what I mean? There's so many. Our buck to doe ratio is probably, I'm going to say, as far as 10 to 1.
Hey guys, sorry to cut y'all off from the conversation. We'll get back to it in just a second. But first, I want to tell you guys about Hoot Camo. Hoot Camo is one of the best camouflage brands out there for the blue collar hunter. The prices, you can't beat them. The patterns are extremely versatile. They work in so many different environments. I have worn Hoot Camo hunting whitetails, hogs, and turkeys down here in the hardwoods, the mesquites, the scrub brush of Texas. I've worn it in the flatland plains of eastern Colorado hunting mule deer. I've even worn it in the mountains of central Idaho hunting elk. It works in so many different places. It is extremely high quality gear, extremely warm, holds up well against the elements. You cannot beat it. Go to hootcamo.com, use the code FallObsession15 on your next order, no matter how big or small it is, and check out everything that Hoot Camo has on there for you guys.
It's just insane. And
Yeah.
so it makes it hard to, like, people, when I'm with my tracking dog, people are like, man, I can't wait for the rut. I'm like, I can for hunting, because when the rut comes on, it seems like they just lock down around here because they don't have to move. They go in the thicket, a doe pushes through, he grabs her, spends time with her, breeds, leaves, grabs another one. Like, you don't see the hard chasing and the hard,
Yeah, they don't have
like
to
in
work
the
for it.
South, like I remember rattling and stuff, like hard charging, like pre-rut's great, post-rut's great. During the rut around here, to me, it's my least favorite time to be in the woods.
It seems like really anymore, you'll see the does, they know where to go. So like these big mature bucks, they'll just go and stay where the bucks are at, and you'll never see them. And then like Lawson was saying, you'll see them post, they'll be coming to feed and doing stuff like that. Maybe you might catch them pre-rut doing a scrape or working a tree, but they kind of just disappear really.
Yeah, I mean, you get your randoms, you know what I mean, just like anybody else does. It just, to me, everybody around here is so scared to shoot a doe that it's crazy. I mean, I try to shoot. That's my opening weekend goal, to shoot a doe right off the rip. And I sent some video in for my doe that I shot before my surgery. It's just.
So why are people scared to shoot a doe?
Because they think that if you have 50 does on your property, it means you're going to have 50 bucks on your property.
Oh, I see.
You can't educate the. You've been taught your whole life, don't shoot does because that's how you get a buck.
Well, I think too, because geographically, like our layout of our land here, if you shoot something, you have to put in some serious work.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's
there is no like, I'm going to go walk 150 yards and go get it. You got to go clean down the bottom of this creek, climb a rock face, and then you might see the deer, but it might be down over the next hill. So it's not like easy. And if you don't have a side by side or four wheeler or know somebody, I mean, you got to almost pack it out in some of the spots that we hunt. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, wow. I'd say it has a lot to do with that. Yeah. Like I said, I just think that you're taught your whole life, man. When the rut comes, you got to have does. And if you kill all your does, you're never going to see a buck. And I think people just have lived by that,
Yeah.
I feel like that mentality is more applicable to when the ratio is obviously not like what you're talking about and everything. When you have a ratio that's roughly 10-1, like that, man, yeah, you're right. Those bucks don't have to do anything to get their does, And
they don't have to move. They don't have to go nowhere. It just shuts down.
Yeah. Our ratio in recent years, I feel like, has been pretty decent enough to keep those bucks on their feet and moving. But I mean, still in Texas, you're not going to see them during the rut on like feeders or the man-made food source and stuff. You gotta hunt trails and stuff, and that's mainly like what especially this year what we're trying to do. I spent a lot of time here yesterday, looking for just I know on the property where the bedding areas are, but I moved a couple cameras around and looking at just some different trails and stuff to figure out, okay, where are my doe bedding areas and where are my bucks going to be here in a few weeks, so I can have an idea for that, because I don't need to be sitting over a feeder when it comes time for prime rut.
Yeah, you found the doe bedding, you found the bucks.
Oh yeah, and that's what last year proved to us was we saw that behavior just like textbook as far as what they were doing and that kind of stuff. But this year I'm a little curious because last year, at least before the rut, like, August leading into September and October, like we were seeing our shooters on camera and everything at our food sources. They wouldn't stay long, but they would trickle through the areas where our feeders were enough for us to get an idea on, okay, what kind of bucks we have in the area and everything. But then, rut came around, then nothing's on the food sources. Everything's out there in the woods chasing. This year's different. Like this year on the whole place between Nick and myself, because we both hunt together out there, it's like we got one definite shooter right now. And last year this time we had like 4 or 5. And I know from last year, what's that?
I said you just had to pick the choice.
Yeah, I mean last year when still didn't fill my buck tag. still a little bitter about that one, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I'm curious to see what this year does because we also had more rain over the summer than we've had since we've been on this property. And yeah, it's just the behavior seems a little different this year. So I don't know if they're held up somewhere else because of, how wet it's been this year or what's going on, but curious to see kind of pre-rut into rut. Um, what kind of differences we're seeing as far as the bucks showing up because we got the does for sure. But this is the first year where I'm looking at all these piddly little, young 2-year-old bucks and got one definite shooter on the whole property. And it's like, man, what not giving me the warm and fuzzies right now about filming a buck
Yeah.
tag, that's for
Well,
sure.
and that
So
makes it hard. Like you'll probably be one of the few people in the U.S. that says you got more rain than normal. I mean, that's what's killing us because we had a really wet spring and early summer. I mean, it was just like unconditionally rain. We flooded, like Wheeling had a bad flood, and but then we went through 12 to 15 weeks no rain.
oh
And
wow.
so like up here we have a ton of white oaks, red oaks, pin oaks. And when you go through a major drought, those nut bearing trees, they mass produce because they feel like they're dying. So they mass produce to try to start young. And it hit probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I don't know. I don't have anything on camera. I'm like, dude, you got to find the oak flats because I said they're not going to hit your bait because it's not what they want right now. Their whole body's like, I got to get acorns.
Hmm.
So I mean that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. They're very inconsistent because you're not in the rut. I just seen a scrape yesterday on a PA property that I hunt, but like the marking of territory is not heavy this year early like it normally is. Like normally I'd see a rub line or a scrape line or it's just like very spotty. I think they're just hammering the food source.
Yeah. So what are y'all allowed to bait in your state or no?
West Virginia and Ohio, you can bait on public or a private ground.
Okay, on private
PA,
grounds.
you cannot bait at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember I remember that from some stuff that Anthony and the guys up there have told me over the years and stuff. I knew you couldn't do it up there. So what do y'all's typical setups look like? Do you typically hunt over bait or do you guys try to spend more time on trails and those more natural food sources, scrapes, other stuff like that?
It kind of varies. I mean, it
Yeah.
just depends on the situation. If you're hunting the rut, can't hunt over food.
Yeah.
You're gonna hunt, you're gonna find a good scrape, good rub line. You're gonna set up there, hope the does are running through. You might catch them on an acorn flat. I mean, it's just early season. I feed year round. I do minerals
Yeah.
all summer. As soon as January hits, the first of the year, I'm back to minerals again and waiting to see sheds drop so I can go shed hunt. It just depends, really.
Yeah.
When
I
I
got you.
started dabbling into work or hunting PA, I kind of got away from the bait because you get in a habit of going and checking your bait sites, I guess, per se. But when I started hunting PA, I was so worried I'd get in a habit and then just drive to the farm and dump bait. And I was like, man, I got to get out of this. So I kind of got away from it for a while and just started using food plots.
Yeah.
And that I see a big difference. Not so much this time of year, but like late season, man, the deer you see is just unbelievable because everything's dead. And you go to a food plot and you got 2 to 3 acres that's just pure green. Man, it's just like a buffet for them. So I really started hitting food plots. And then a friend of mine that I met probably, I think it's been 3 years ago now, got me onto mock scrapes.
Yeah.
And he's like, he kept talking to me about them, and I hunt scrape lines, but I feel like a lot of your scrape lines is like a nocturnal movement. Not all the time, but it just seems like if you put a camera on there, you're probably 80/20 if you get a lot of 80% nighttime, 20 daylight.
Hmm.
And he's like, buddy, I'm telling you, if you can train a buck to use a mock scrape of his own, from mock to making it taking claim of it, he's like, if you can train him and more or less you're patterning him, you'll kill that buck. And then it was like clockwork. I get start a mock scrape. Next thing you know, here's the buck I want to shoot. The next morning, I'm shooting him, or the next cold snap, I'm shooting him. Like, so I got really into hunting scrape lines and mock scrapes. But that, like he said, it's really food source driven around here because we have such I think the word would be plethora of terrain. You
Hmm.
go from mountains to no fields, all oaks or hardwoods or timber, and then you go and you have thousands of acres of ag land. So it's just like you really got to hone into where you're at to what the deer want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always heard growing up, like, post rut, end of the season, getting cold, they'll be hitting your food sources, your man-made food sources and stuff like that. But here in the last 5 years in Texas, it's just been like I just haven't seen that. Even when I was a kid and hunting and stuff, I felt like I saw that. But the last 5 years we hadn't. And finally it was just a light bulb moment. Somebody told me, I forget who it was, they were like, it doesn't get cold enough in Texas before the season ends. Like you get freezes, but
Right.
it's not like that long-term good cold hard freeze that turns those
When
acorns bitter and really freezes them into those food sources. We don't get that till into January, February, and our deer
yeah,
season's already over at that point. So it was like, huh, I never really thought of that. It's almost like they kind of after the rut, they're just like still in limbo slash somewhat their pre-rut routine as far
they're
as,
just going back to
where
their summertime patterns of just catching food where it was at.
yeah, just
You know,
just
like
about. So
when we plant a food plot, we put turnips in it. Now they'll eat the greens as they're coming up, but once a turnip leaf gets, say 8 to 12 inches, a deer will not touch it because
hmm,
I guess it's from what I've the research or whatever you want to call it, it's bitter. It's not good. But when you get a hard freeze, it turns pure sugar. And
interesting.
I've watched 20, 30 does come in, turn their heads sideways, bite the top of a tulip or a turnip and pick it up out of the ground and just eat that whole turnip. I mean, a whitetail purple turnip's like the size of a softball. And then you can just hear them.
Yeah.
It's like watching. I mean, to me, when I started planting like quality food plots, it's like watching hunting on TV. It gets
Yeah.
daylight, you got 40 deer in front of you. You're like, oh my goodness. And now you're
Yeah.
just waiting for that buck to be like, okay, it's freezing cold. Like last year, I shot my buck in PA. It was 6 degrees outside. Like he was begging for food. Like their body goes into an emergency fund of like, I'm not hungry, I'm not thirsty, but I know that it's 6 degrees. I have to eat. Like, you know what I mean? Just you
Yeah.
start finding quality food up here. It's unbelievable what changes. That's like Mike shot that mature buck, and I said, buddy, you just killed the bully of the property. And I said, give it 10 days. And I said, the next one's going to move in. And I said, now you're going to get rut. Plus, you're going to get. We planted what 3 food plots in the place. Yeah. And they're all looking phenomenal. I mean, super green. I mean, we got a perfect rain where everything was about to dry out, and the rain came. Like I thought my yard was done for the year, and now it's growing like once a week. Like so,
Nice.
we got the perfect time frame of cooler weather for everything to grow. Rain, just you complain about the rain, but boy, it was nice when it came.
Yeah. No, sounds like a slam dunk for sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Though, like you're talking about that cold temp, like 6 degrees, like we don't get that during hunting season up here. Like we'll get 30,
yeah.
28, maybe
And that
25 at late in the
I
year,
don't
but
know where you're
that's as
at,
cold as it
Sam, but
gets.
like 30 degrees damn near shuts a town down.
In Texas, yeah. In Texas, if it
I
gets
left.
below below
It was
32,
Christmas Eve of like 20. Let's just say 2013, 2014. I was in Paducah, Kentucky, driving from Paducah to Paducah, Illinois, and it was -10 when I left on Christmas Eve.
hmm,
I came home to Arkansas, spent time with my family, and I was in um, Livingston, Texas on the 27th for a big job I did under the star. Anyways, I got down there and it literally frosted. Like they called it a snow, but it was just a heavy frost. And I'm like, I just got into town at like midnight. I set my camper up. I needed propane. I needed fuel in my truck. So I'm like, well, we're not working today. I'm gonna go ahead and run to town, take care before I go to work. The town's ghost. Like I see people, it's 31 degrees outside. They got their Eskimo jackets on, boots up their knees. Like I'm trolling around in a short sleeve shirt with a hat on. Like, man, this is beautiful. I just came from -10. People are looking at me like something's wrong with me. I was like, man, this shuts the town down.
Yeah, dude. If we get below 30, like into the 20s or certainly any lower than that, and there's remotely a chance of any sort of precipitation to go with it, like Texas shuts down. And all of a
I'm
sudden,
telling you.
just like that, everybody doesn't know how to drive.
Oh
Like
yeah.
nobody can drive all of a sudden. It's
Oh, right.
just it's like a whole different world. It's like an apocalyptic state down here,
I'm telling you, I
man.
never believe like I never expected. Like I said, there's a foot of snow on the ground when I left Paducah. I get to Texas 3 days later, and it's 31 degrees. I'm like, man, it's beautiful. And I'm walking around t-shirt, and it's a ghost town. Like people are looking at me like something's wrong, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, you guys got it rough. Like I think they canceled school for 2 days because it's below 30. They're
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, it's too cold. I'm like, man, this kid's up north. Like I worked in Minnesota in 2020. It was negative 62, and they're outside playing volleyball.
Oh yeah. No,
I'm
that
like, this is why people think you're weird.
yeah. That's the other weird. That's the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. We Texas doesn't know what to do with their cold weather. Of course, some people then come down here in the summertime too from up north and they're fixing to die as
Oh
well.
yeah.
So they're like, how do y'all
I
do
left
this?
that heat 10 years ago, and I kind of laughed. Like this year's the first year that I told Mike or like my wife, I was like, this is the first year we've had humidity. I'd hear somebody say, man, it's humid out. I just laugh, and I'm like, you have no idea. When you put your arm out the window and it starts dripping water, that's humidity. I
Yep.
said, up here, it's just warm. Like,
Yeah. No, it's a different world in a lot of different ways. So it's crazy how things change when you go to different parts of the country.
and it's not all that far. I mean, 12 hours. I mean, it's just crazy
Yeah.
how you can see a whole different environment.
Oh yeah, everybody's in their own little bubble, their own little world, and when the world changes, it's the world's gonna freaking end. That's how they look
Yeah.
at it. So I wanna ask you guys a little bit about some of y'all's predator hunting and everything because if folks have followed Fall Obsession, if they recall or have made note of some of the posts that you guys have been tagged in, everything on our pages from the content you've sent in, there's a lot at least over the summer of predator hunting and that kind of stuff. So. Um, Talk to me a little bit about that and just kind of how often you guys are doing that, what that looks like, what your setups are for stuff, because most of the time it's at night, I believe. So,
Yep.
We're gonna go tomorrow, actually.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we're going tomorrow night. I'm peg legging. I can't handle it no more.
I'll carry his gun. I'll have two tripods, two guns. And then,
Yeah. Yeah. I've predator hunted growing up. Yeah, I'm from the South, so you got so much prey.
hmm
And then I moved up here and I met some guys and they kept begging me to go thermal hunting. And I fought like the urge for years. And when I bought one, man, I was anchor sinking done. I mean, you could have drugged me around with a line. Just it's just you're getting in their environment. You can see everything. And I run a Rick's thermal scope, and it's unbelievable. Just what you get to see outside of the coyote world,
Yeah.
and you're getting inside of I've killed a bunch in the daylight, and it's not impossible. You just got to treat a whole different world. They're just so much comfortable in the dark. It just makes it so much fun. And I met Mike years ago, but like me and Mike become real good friends over the last year, and he kept coming out and he'd borrow my scope or our other buddies, and finally he's like, I got to buy one. So that was summer.
yeah,
Midsummer he bought one, and
yeah.
summertime's like really hard hunting because they go through phases. When I get into something, I kind of become addicted to it. So I want to know why they do this, where they're at. So coyotes go through breeding, den, and then pup rearing. So when you're in breeding season, it's almost like the rut for coyotes. They'll travel miles. You hear them howl, and within 5 minutes, they're up to you, miles away.
Yeah.
And then they go in the denning where you don't hear anything. You don't see nothing. Like you wonder why you got $10,000 walking around the woods. Like I'm wasting my time. And then all of a sudden they go into pup raising or where they're like summertime, the pups are getting out of the ground. And now all of a sudden you've got more coyotes than you've had all year.
Hey, folks, if you guys are in the North Texas area like I am, then you need to go to Bear River Archery and Pro Shop in Van Alstyne, Texas. Justin and the guys up there have an incredible operation set up. They will take great care of you and all of your archery needs. They are the official bow shop in North Texas of Fall Obsession. I love going there, and I'm picky. If you guys know me, I am very selective on who I let work on my bow. I will let Justin work on my bow. They do great stuff. Check out Bear River Archery and let them know that Fall Obsession sent you.
It's just, I don't know. It's a very addictive feeling of being able to you're almost doing like the turkey world. You're manipulating them to come to you versus you go to them, and it's a good time. I mean, I we took him. I've really got into trying to learn about him. So I don't know if you've ever followed any of it, but Tory Cook with MFK,
Hmm.
he actually raises wild coyotes, documents what they do, records off what they do, and then shares it through Foxborough. Man, he's so knowledgeable on it, and I just kind of dive into listening to him. And so he was talking about in the summertime, if you hear one howl, you have to get in their bubble. So their bubble might be 100 yards, 200, 300. But like the first coyote Mike finally put on the ground with his thermal, we called and they howled like crazy, but they wouldn't move. We jumped in the truck, ran to the next farm over where we could hunt, and I barely pushed a button. And I mean, you could hear sticks breaking. Like we got in their bubble, and my scope didn't record it. And I leaned over to Mike. I said, "You get nervous yet?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, I am." And I said, "I've been doing this for a while."
It's an absolutely crazy story. We're just standing there, and I mean, obviously, you look up and you can't see anything, and the woods are maybe 50 yards from us. And all you could hear, it sounds like a pack of elephants running. I mean, it sounds like they're ripping trees out of the ground. And he said, "You ready?" I was like, "I guess." I didn't know what was going on. And then you just hear it, ramp up again. And he goes, "Here they come." And as soon as he said that, I mean, two of them just poured out of the wood. They won't all come out at once, but, and my other buddy, he shot the one and I panned over and it just happened to work out perfect. But it was just like, we just left the truck, walked up through the gate. We're surrounded by cows, and they don't know what we are, and they're so mad because they're like, "Man, what's this coyote doing here? We're going to go over and stomp on it." And we're worried about getting trampled over, and we have the best sit going on that's ever happened in history. It's like, so
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
wow.
good time when you can just and I've seen a big change. Like we started as a group, there's about 4 or 5 of us that do it pretty heavy. I try to go out like 2 to 3 nights a week whenever I'm full ability, move wise. But I've seen a big change in our population of small game around here since we've started killing coyotes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely been a you'll never control a predator problem hunting them. I think the only way to really put a hard hit on them is trapping because you're so less invasive and you can really, but we've definitely helped. I mean, I've seen more fawns this year than I've had in the last several years. Turkeys,
groundhog,
yeah,
squirrels.
people like farmers are like, man, you need to kill these groundhogs. You can kill these coyotes. I mean,
So then it rolls into another thing. So it's like, well, you're shooting all these coyotes, but now I have 57 groundhog holes. I just blew a tire out because there are 20 of them living in a hole this big. So now we get to go do other fun things because
Yeah.
so,
long story short, Mike's wife, Maddie, met me. My poor wife used to. She's like, no, she's like, Lawson goes as he goes.
Yeah, in the beginning, she was like, "Does he ever quit?" And I said, "That boy ain't got no quit in him. No,
There ain't no quitting Lawson.
no, not at all." So,
That's
but she
that.
got used to it. So,
And now I'm getting my son addicted to it. He killed his first bird this year, Mike. That was I don't know if you guys got the film. That was before I was with you guys, but he killed his first bird at 3.5 or 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
First turkey. Yeah, it was awesome. We got it all on film and called in Jake. And so now if he sees me load my stuff up, he gets absolutely mad at me if he's not going.
Yeah. No, my son has the bug too, man. He's 7 now, and he definitely he started going with me, just tagging along a couple times when he was 5, and then last year he tagged along a little bit more and hunted more with me and my dad. And this year he's really itching to go. I got him a little bow this past year, so he's been shooting pretty lights out with that little thing so far,
Heck
and
yeah.
it's still nowhere near poundage to actually kill an animal, but he's getting there. He's working his way up, and during the spring turkey season when we had the fall obsession, some fall obsession team members up here or down here back in April.
Yeah.
I was hosting, so I spent most of my time like getting people around and trying to make sure that people, were having the best hunt they could. And there was one time that I got to go sit with him. He was out there with me, and I gave him just an old box call that my dad actually had back in the day and stuff. And we didn't have a Tom or a Jake come in, but this lone hen just wandered through, and I gave him that call, and he was just playing with it, and she was talking back like she was, talking
Yeah.
back to him on that call, and he was like manipulating it and getting real soft with it and changing the tone with it and like really, really getting into it. He's just glued to this bird, and she's doing like about 20 yards away. She's just doing laps around us. We're sitting just at the base of this tree, kind of tucked in some brush, and she's just doing laps around us, trying to figure out where we are. And he's just talking to her the whole time for probably 15 minutes. Just like, man, that's cool. Like he ate it up. We couldn't shoot her because can't shoot hens in the spring in Texas, but
Right.
it's just like cool experience for him to get
Well,
to do
I
that.
tell everybody, I said, your kids are never going to be as still as you want them to be or quiet as you want them to. But as long as they have fun, it becomes a lifeline. I said, if you make it unfun for them, they're never going to want to go again.
Yeah.
And so like every morning my boy goes hunting with me. I get a chocolate milk and powdered donuts. Like he knows we're going to the gas station, we're going to get snacks. Like he goes bow hunting with me. He's got a bag full of snacks. Like I get ate up with taking kids hunting. It seems like anymore I get more of a drive out of taking kids or people never killed one than
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I've killed plenty of turkeys. Every one of them gets to me. I mean, I get ate up with them, but when you see a kid like that kid I was talking about, he's one of my best friends, little boy. I've been with him every bird he's ever killed.
That's
And so
awesome.
when he hears a turkey gobbling, like now I think he just turned 9. Like now he's using his mouth to make calls, or he's using a mouth call. Like he's getting eat up with it. So I told him, I said, "Well, you ain't gonna have Uncle Lawson calling much longer." He's like, "No, you're still coming."
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember growing up with my dad and getting the bug, and so now it's cool to see him getting the same kind of passion and interest that I had when I was his
Oh,
age and
absolutely.
everything. And my dad hunts on the same property we do, and so now kind of got 3 generations out there most of the time. And he's gone and sat with my dad in his stand before and hunted with him, and yeah,
And in
it's
your
been pretty
dad's shoes,
cool.
he could care less to ever carry another gun when his grandson's with him.
Well, I think we both feel the
Yeah.
same way. There are times where just because I'm exclusively bow hunting, where it's like, okay, I do want to get into a tree, like into a tree, but and those are the times that my dad does take and is like, well, he can let him come hunt with me. You go sit in a tree real quick because he's just not to the point where I'm comfortable putting him in a hang on or anything just yet with me.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, he's ate up with it for sure and everything. And you talk about making it fun for him and everything. And that's the biggest thing I think people have to accept is just that you're if you're sitting there and telling them you got to be quiet, you got to be still and stuff, you're going to get frustrated and they're not going to have fun and it's not going to be good for anybody. And I did a podcast just this last week with Corey Lair, who owns Monarch Hunting Products, and before we were recording, him and I were chatting for a while, and he was talking about taking his son, who's the same age as my son, hunting and getting his first deer and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, man, he's like, I felt like I was ruining him because I was hard on him. And then he was like,
Yeah.
finally, I was just like, all right, well, we're just gonna have fun. He's like, we went to Brookshire's, we bought all the snacks, we bought all the stuff, and he goes, we're
Yep.
sitting in the stand, and he just asked the kid, he's like, well, what do you want to do now? He's like, well, I think that if we feed the deer Oreos, the deer will come in. He's like, all right. So he said he's letting his son chunk Oreos out the window of the blind, and he goes, by golly, deer came in and started munching on those stupid Oreos. He's like,
That kid's
well,
gonna be buying packs of
yeah.
Oreos now for bait.
Corey,
Yeah.
he
He's
told
like,
me
"Dad, we need another pallet of Oreos."
yeah. Corey told me, he's like, I'm done. I'm done. Everything that I try to do, being quiet, being still, scent control, he's like, it all just, every theory just got debunked by this kid throwing Oreos out the blind.
And you'll never tell that kid otherwise. Like he knows I kill a deer because I put Oreos out.
Yeah.
Like that's what he associates it with.
Yeah. It's just, it's
It's so
funny.
much fun watching them. Getting the shakes though. Like that little boy when he shot a turkey, he's shaking. I'm like, "What's wrong, bub? You are you cold?" He's like, "I think so." I said, "No, that's adrenaline excitement." I was like, "That's you get used to that."
Yep. Yep. And it never goes away. Doesn't matter how old you
No,
get.
no. Even when I'm not using a gun, I'm calling. I'm laying there shaking, like, "Come on, somebody pull the trigger."
I was sitting behind the camera going like this.
Yeah. When we went on that elk hunt, um, I didn't know how I would handle it if I actually got one close enough. And long story short, we called one in to like I think I ranged him at 51 when I finally got a solid range, which I'm good with that shot, but I had so much brush in between me and him, I couldn't take a comfortable shot with it, just so much deadfall. And one of the other guys ended up taking him with a rifle as he was on his way out of the area just because I could never get a shot with a bow. But the guy that took us out there, the guy that was calling for us and kind of hosting us and everything, he had a tag, but he's like, I want y'all to get elk first. I'm going to be the last one to shoot type deal. He was calling for me and sitting next to me. And I'm over here like on my first elk hunt with a bow, with an elk 50 yards from me. And I feel like I'm pretty put together. And he's next to me. He's like, he's got his phone trying to video. He's like, he's freaking out. And I'm like, dude, you've been doing this for, I told him later, I was like, I didn't know what, if you were going to be okay, because I feel pretty collected and you're over here like it's your first time and you've been doing this for 23 years. And he said, dude, I've never had a bow hunter. He said, I've never called one in close. He said, every time I call one in, it's like, he's like, I rifle hunt. So as soon we shoot long ways, we have setups for long shots and everything is like, you call one in, as soon as you get a shot, you drop him. He's like, I've never called one into 50 yards before. He goes, I was freaking out. So, and this is a veteran elk hunter. It's like, yeah, that feeling never goes away, man.
No,
So,
I think that's why I love bow hunting or, even shotgun turkeys. It's just, you get them in close and you can just feel that spit drum. And that's what it's all about to me. I mean, even if I don't shoot one, if I get that excitement, I'm like, well, I'll chase you again tomorrow.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So, real quick, I want to circle back to the predator hunting because I did have a question that popped up when you guys were talking about that. You were talking about calling them, and Lawson, you even said like no sooner you hit the button, they were rolling in that one time and everything. And do like you guys hunt pretty frequently? I imagine it sounds like you have your designated or particular spots that you frequent where you hunt. Do coyotes get educated
Oh,
to y'all's
absolutely.
calling and the fact that okay, we go out there, something bad happens, and how do you guys address that or overcome that?
Well, if you look at a coyote like a 200-inch deer, a coyote eats, lives, sleeps by his nose. If
Hmm.
you have a bad wind, you will never see a coyote. So beating a coyote's nose is almost like sitting in a deer standing grunting in a 200-inch buck.
Gotcha.
So when you call in these mature, like an adult coyote, you've literally beat all aspects of his life to come into you. So I'll probably have, I'm just going to say a rough number, like 100, just say 100 farms. And like tomorrow night, we're going to go out. I'm going to go through the ones that I want to go to because I know they're easy access. If the wind's bad, I won't even show up.
Yeah.
I won't even get out of the truck. I won't even drive there. I'll just leave it for the next time.
Hmm.
They get call shy. Like the easiest way to keep a coyote from getting call shy is you kill every one of them that come in. So back in, I think it was June, we had those six come in all at once.
Yep.
We had literally six coyotes come in,
Running straight at us.
and I set up in a different place I never have, and there was a big dip. Well, you're not looking naked eye, you're looking through a scope. So I
Right.
couldn't see that dip, and the coyotes were coming. I said, listen, let them get as close as they can so we can get a follow up shot. Or like a lot of times we all shoot suppressed. So a lot of times I can hit like a howl and they'll stop. They might be 200 yards away, but they'll still give you an opportunity.
Right.
Then I lost them. They popped up 20 yards from us. We killed two of them at 20 steps with, rifles, like on top of you. And then the other ones ran off. But like those coyotes now are educated to that stand location. So like I'm
Mhm.
all the time trying to set up different places or set your call at different places. And I was talking about listening to Tori Cook and them. Every year coyotes go through a factory reset. It's when they have pups, it's like they forget everything that happened to them last year. So every year you start off with fresh ears, fresh senses. So as long as you play that wind, I mean, I've had packs howling like crazy and just you beat yourself up wanting to go in there. But if that wind's slightly wrong, you will never see that coyote.
So they have a factory reset after you said after they have pups,
Yep.
even the males?
Yeah. So
Really?
it's kind of like the crazy. So you have the craze of breeding, and then the male and the female, they both raise the litter. Like you have a true mating pair. It's usually
Okay.
your alphas. Not every coyote in the field breeds. So it's only your alpha pairs in that territory. But it's like a factory reset. From what I guess my education's kind of told me is they do a factory, and it's kind of played true because I go to places and I hunt them pretty hard, and I'll kill say 10 or 12 coyotes, and then come this time this year, it's like I've never hunted there.
Mm.
They respond to every call you send at them, and
Yeah. And then to touch again on your education, so that same stand when they were running, the six were running right at us. There was a couple larger, probably the adults
Yep.
were at the top of the hill, and the other guy asked me, he said, "Well, why didn't you shoot at them?" I said, "Well, I'm comfortable with taking a shot at 200-300 yards in the daytime. This is nighttime, and also too, if I miss, they know when you shoot at them, they know. Okay, I just got shot at. I'm not coming back here anymore."
Yeah.
So if you do, you know what I mean? You want to be able to take a shot that you know, just like deer hunting, turkey, whatever. You're going to shoot it, you're going to kill it, clean, ethical, no missing, no, because it does. It educates them, and they'll get really smart. And that's just from listening to these guys and actually seeing it in person. It happens. I mean, we'll go to a place that was absolutely overrun, and we might shoot two and miss two other ones. We could go there 4 other stands and not see or hear anything.
Yeah, they get educated pretty quick.
Yep.
But we run such a wide variety of, like, I really try hard to preserve certain sounds. So they get educated to certain sounds per se. So like summer from say March till like right now, I will never play a prey distress. So whether it be rabbit, bird, whatever. Because I want come October, November when there's not as much prey out because all the baby rabbits are grown. They're easy, they're harder to catch. I want it to be all fresh sounds. That way you get those hard chargers circle back a year round.
Gotcha.
So I think that has a huge thing is you got to have a wide variety of how you're playing your sounds with them.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, I've been curious because I am not a predator hunter to the extent like you guys are and hunting these coyotes and everything. I've killed coyotes, I've hunted coyotes. Normally, most of the coyotes I've killed have been I'm hunting something else and one happens to come through the area and everything. There was one last year. My dad and I were just driving through our property. I think we were going to fill a feeder or something like that, and it's 12:30 in the afternoon, and one runs across the road, that we're inside our own private land and everything, just the main road through the property. And my dad, when we tool around, he keeps his rifle, in the truck accessible and everything, and he
I heard
runs
that
up.
rifle's pretty deadly.
Apparently. Yeah, he that thing runs around off to the outside my driver's side and everything, and my dad's like, "You want me to?" He stops about 40 yards away. My dad's like, "You want me to get out and shoot him?" I was like, "No, I want you to hand me the rifle. I'll take care of this."
I want to shoot him.
Yeah, so I dropped him there, and I didn't know that was the first coyote that I've shot when I've had my blood dog with me. I would consider myself, you probably have a smarter dog than me, Lawson. I would consider myself an amateur when it comes to the blood track and stuff. But he is successful at least and has helped me recover some animals. But the yeah, I didn't know how he would react because I never shot a coyote with him there, and I'm just me being a novice. I'm like, man, I don't know if he's gonna think I shot his friend or how this is gonna work. So
I can always tell with my dog when I go into a track, like if it's a gut shot, I'm going in like the day after or later that night. I can tell if coyotes have found that deer before I get there, just the way my dog acts.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
He did not react like I thought he would because we walked over there and I walked to where I thought I shot him and it was where I shot him, but it was tall grass and he had dropped and then kind of rolled and was off to the side a little bit. And I let my dog out, and then, like an idiot, I just got focused in on walking to where I shot him. I forgot about what my dog was doing, and the coyote wasn't laying there. So I'm like, well, where is he? And I look over, and my dog's just sitting next to him. I'm like, well, I'm an idiot. I have a blood dog, and I just shot something. I'm not even paying attention to the dog. He just went right to him and just sitting there looking at me like, hey, what are you doing? So, yeah. But,
hey, it's over here.
yeah. Trying to do what I trained him to do, and I'm not even paying attention.
That's
so
that I started that track, and I think this would have been my 4th year.
Hey guys, Trophy Edits is a Fall Obsession podcast partner. We all have mounts on our walls that represent a significant moment, a significant harvest in the woods for each and every one of us, and photographs can do the same. I'm sure you guys have pictures from years past, hunting with loved ones or being in the woods with family and friends that also represent those big moments. And what Trophy Edits does is they showcase those moments for you guys just absolutely make your pictures explode, and to the level that you guys can put them on the wall and also have that memory forever represented in your home, your office, your man cave, whatever it might be. Give Trophy Edits a chance to do the work for you guys. And again, they make those pictures just absolutely awesome with their professional team of editors. So go to Trophy Edits website. The link is in the podcast description. That lets them know that you guys came from us. And use the code FALLOBSESSION at checkout to save you guys some money.
And I actually have heard Southern West Virginia right now with a good friend of mine because I can't, because in West Virginia we have to be on the lead. So I can't walk her through. She's like holding on to a dozer. So I was like, I want her to get ran. So actually she just got her first recovery, not with my buddy down there tracking for her or him. But you learn so much. Like you think you know about tracking. And when you go on 200 to 300 tracks a year, man, do you learn just so much about tracking an animal.
Yeah.
You learn so much stuff that you just feel like, oh, I knew that, but you didn't.
Yeah. I haven't been on nearly that many, and we haven't really marketed it a whole lot as far as him being. I don't know. I don't feel that comfortable enough with him. Like he goes with me every time I go, and he certainly suits my needs. He's found like Nick, the first year we had the dog, actually Nick shot a doe and had it on film. Like it was a decent shot. She just didn't bleed. And that dog, that was his first track, and she went over 100 yards, and next to no blood, and he found that deer in like 7 minutes. Like it was
Yeah,
like
because they're
that.
tracking. I mean, I don't know what you trained him with, but they're actually tracking interdigital scent. So
Yeah,
like, if you shoot a shoulder shot deer for the first say 200 yards, they're gonna have interdigital because they're like, what the heck happened to me? Like I might be dying. Then their body calms down, it goes away. Like my dog, if I go on a meat track, like I call a meat track a shoulder or a back whack, I can tell in 200 yards whether I'm finding the deer or not. I'll just call it. And
yeah,
it's just you can tell a huge difference when that interdigital goes out. And that's what they drive after, or that's what they're really honing in on because every deer's interdigital is like their fingerprint.
yeah. I've had a couple of tracks where I've told the guy. I had one where it was actually a friend of mine. He called me. He was like, "Hey, I shot this deer. I didn't make a great shot. I can't find it. I've made it 80 yards and I'm losing blood and all this stuff." And we go out there and he shows me the setup. He shows me what he's got, and I told him, I was like, "I'll run the dog, but we're probably not finding this deer. This deer is probably going to live to see another day, if I'm being honest with you." And
Yeah,
he tracked that deer for probably close to we probably ran close to a mile, I would say. Like it was a
yeah.
long ways. And yeah, deer sure enough lived to see another day. The other one was I told the guy on the phone, like when he called me and he explained what he had, I was like, "I will not find your deer. Your deer is still alive. I will not find your deer." He wanted me
Yeah,
to come out anyway. We came out anyway. But
we
again,
call
same
those
deal.
therapy tracks, Sam.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I feel bad for the dog sometimes, man, because I'm like, man, I try to get him just to like anytime I kill a deer, like even if it's the
Yeah,
best blood trail in the world, I let him track it just because I feel like I need him to be successful because there's been
yeah.
enough
It's a
track.
confidence booster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's been enough tracks where I've either called him off or we didn't find the deer, or I've had one end where we ran out of property. Like I tell him if I'm coming out there, like, "Hey, do you have access to the property next to you? Do you have access to the property next to that? Do you have permission?" Okay, you don't start calling people in between now and when I get there, because there's a chance that you're going to need it. And we had one
oh
track
yeah,
that ended because of that. The deer might have been just laying over there, but I told him, I was like, "You don't have access to go on that property. We're not going." So, and I felt bad calling the
yeah.
dog off of that
That's a
track because it's
big.
like he's about to find what he's looking for, and I'm telling him, "No, you got to stop. You can't go anymore." So,
Yeah. So now he's like, well, what does Dad want?
yeah, exactly. What do you want from me? So,
Yeah, that's when I first started tracking. Everybody that I knew shot a deer. I didn't care. They watched it drop. I'm like, don't go out there. Let me, because I just want her to get, live tracks. I didn't do a lot of mock tracks on training her. I literally ran any deer that ever got shot in Broke County. I ran it. Like I was my first year, I couldn't tell you how many tracks I was on, and I wasn't charging the people just like, hey, give me $20 for some gas,
Yeah.
and we'll go from there. And then the second year, I kind of figured her out, and like I track with long spur tracking, which is huge in this area, and we have a big interview sheet. Like you learn so much from everybody else's track, and like, like somebody would call me, like, man, I said the best thing you can do is go hunt him in the morning.
Yeah.
I want you to come track. I'm like, well, we're going to track. I said, I'll give you 200 yards. If we don't find nothing, then it's probably going to live. And I felt the same way, and I still do. And my dog has like 100 and I think I'm over 120 recoveries with her. Like she knows
Wow.
what she's doing.
Yeah.
But I'll go out on track and I'm like, I'm seeing blood, and a shoulder shot with big rage broadhead is going to bleed like crazy. And she just lays down. She's like, I'm done. Like the deer's not done. And I'm still like, I see blood. You need to track. Like I get so mad. And then I'll go track one the next night and it'll be like drips of blood. I'm like, I don't know. And then next thing I know, I'm coming up on a deer.
Dude,
So
that
it's
that
just so
that's the
aggravating.
thing
Like you
that's
said, like,
just with a novice dog, or what I would feel like in the grand scheme of things still a novice dog. um that's what bothers me the most is like when I can't see blood and I'm
I
trusting
know.
this dog to like that you're not off on some wild goose chase or
Right.
just smelling a
It's
pig or
tough.
something that you got hooked on. I'm like, I'm trusting you right now. And I had to relearn that trust even last year because the I shot a doe last year with my bow and she went 80 yards. She didn't go far, but at one point in that blood trail, like there was blood the whole time, but he was moving fast enough that I didn't, and it's dark. I didn't have, like, I couldn't see what he was
Yeah.
on. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, and because earlier that year we had one that was a super difficult track, and he was not gonna, nobody was gonna find that deer. But coming off of that onto this one, I'm like, I feel like I need to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but at the same time, I'm trying to trust you. And yeah, he led me right to that deer. I was like, I don't know why I doubt you, man. Like
It's the
you
hardest thing in
know,
the world because you don't know. You're not seeing sign of evidence. Like the one buddy I was telling you about with the mock scrapes, it literally rained an inch and a half that day. He liver shot a buck. He calls me. I never knew this guy at all. I go out to his place he's hunting, and I found a literally pin drop size of blood, and that was it. 175 yards later, it was a 160-inch buck laying there. And I had like she was off the trail, but like when rain comes on that interdigital, it's a waxy scent, so it
Mhm.
just broadens. So instead of a beeline, you might be tracking 10. So she was like 10 foot below where he ran and like hard dragging me. So I actually had another guy above me walking the trail, and he's like, "Hey, there's a hard imprint where he turned up the hill a little bit." And sure enough, almost to the T where he told me, here she goes uphill. And I'm like, there's no sign to tell us that there's a deer or not a deer here. I said, literally just got to trust the dog. So next thing I know, I shine my light down. There's a white belly laying there. And I'm like,
Mm.
it's so hard to, like I said, like I know she knows what she's doing. And that's what I tell all these guys that track under me. We got a new tracker this year. And I was like, you're going to get tired of me hearing it or everybody else. Trust the dog.
Yeah.
Like it's so tough.
Yeah, we had one last year. It was actually my neighbor across the street. He shot one. I think it was, if I recall, I think it was a low shot. Very little blood, and wanted me to come out with a dog. And the deer lived, and he ended up shooting it. I think either the next day or the next day after that, and killing it. But I told him again, one of those deals. Like he met me at the gate with his arrow, and I took one look at. It, I was like, nah. I said, we're not finding this deer.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, we're not finding this deer. He's like, well, let's run him anyway. And the dog is like, he's on it for a little bit, and then he makes a weird turn just on a trail that, like, I'm thinking about from the deer's perspective of, like, I've been on enough tracks. I'm like, okay, I think I know where this deer's going. And the dog just makes a hard turn and starts going a different way. I'm like, again, one of those things where I'm failing to have some trust in him because I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes in this tall patch of grass, and I follow him over there, and there's like this pig carcass laying in there.
Yep. Winded it.
Yep. And I was like, hey Mike, did you shoot a pig? It's like, when did you shoot a pig? He's like, dude, I lost that pig like however many months ago. He's like, I shot that and I never found it. I was like, why didn't you call me then? Like
Well,
you're just now telling me this, and we're finding this dead pig like or weeks later, and he's
yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, that's
That's
where
when
it went."
Southern Ohio got hit hard with that EHD this year,
Yeah.
like almost devastating to the point where like my buddy said he hasn't seen a deer, period. Well, a friend of mine went down there and tracked, I think it was Saturday or Sunday. I was in my food trailer. He kept calling me. I'm like, dude, I'm busy. He's like, I need help. So I'm talking to him through the track. He's like, I'm 14 deer in on this track and I cannot get past it. I'm like, how many deer do these people shoot? He's like, every one of them are EHD deer. 14
Oh
deer on a
wow.
20-acre property. And
Holy
I'm like,
cow.
that's hard to get away from because your dogs are trained like my dog will track that interdigital, but when I get close, she's a German wide hair pointer, so
Uh-huh.
naturally she's a bird dog. So I call it bird dog. And like if I get close to deer, she starts standing up on her back feet and like wind and everything.
Hmm.
It's just like a tracking nightmare, and that's why he's like, I don't even know where to begin with this. I was like, good luck, because
Yeah.
it's just she's doing what she's told to do. She don't know she's finding the wrong deer. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And everybody I track for, like, especially if I find the deer. Now, if I don't find the deer, they're not my best friends. They're like, man, you're crazy. Like your dog can't find nothing, you know. But Mike probably thought that I tracked a deer for him last year. I'm like, buddy, it's gonna live. He's like, but I found all this blood. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna live. Like I hate to be the bad guy, you know,
Oh,
but
dude. Some of the blood that you see on some of these deer that survive is just it's amazing. Nick, and we've told this story on the podcast last year. Nick shot our number one target buck on the place last year, and he made a long shot and then I think had a follow-up shot on him. And one of those deals, like we go out there with the dog, me, him, my dad, and his son, and like just first 50 yards, there's just all this blood. And I'm like, dude, like I want to congratulate him. I'm like, this is a dead deer. Like this is a big buck and a dead deer. And then the blood goes away, the dog starts struggling, 100 yards later and stuff. I'm like, ooh, this is not good. And we didn't find the deer. Like we worked that dog for hours that night and we couldn't find anything. And then I think it was we were several hundred yards in when we found the last speck of blood and everything. I'm just like, I don't know. And Nick's out there a week later and that deer freaking runs past him. And I'm
yep.
like, are you serious? And then a week after that, he shows up on one of my cameras. It's like I would have put money on that deer being a dead deer based
Well,
on what I saw on the ground.
yep.
But they're tough,
Yep.
man.
This buck right here, Sam, I
Oh, that's a
tracked
cool
this my
deer.
first year tracking. He was a perfect symmetrical 10 point, and my buddy shot him in the shoulder. I tracked this deer for almost 2 weeks with blood.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'd randomly go out and recheck. Never found him. The next year, he showed back up perfect on this side with an 18-inch brow on this side. When I killed him, he still had the broadhead dead in his shoulder
Was it his right shoulder?
from the year. Yep,
Yeah. I've heard that if they
from the
get
year
wounded on
before.
one side, the opposite side will be all jacked up the following year. That elk that I was
Yep,
telling you
that's what
about.
happened to my big Ohio buck I killed. He got his foot caught in a foot trap. He was like a 160-inch mainframe 10 point, and then he got his foot caught in a trap. He growed a drop tine on one side and like all kinds of traps on his left side. Like couldn't hardly recognize him, but he had one spot on his body that was recognizable.
Yeah.
But that it was crazy. I mean, I that deer bled for like 400 yards. Like I kept telling him, but I'm like, man, anytime this deer's gonna be laying here. And then the next year I killed him. When I
Wow.
was gutting him, he had a big green pocket.
Yep.
I cut it out and I brought it to him the next day and I was like, hey, does this look familiar? He's like, that's what I was shooting. I was like, yeah, I know, it's in my deer.
Yeah, that elk that we shot, I told you one of the other guys ended up taking him with a rifle. He had an injury or like a bum back leg. I think it was his it was his back right. And on his right side of his antlers, like he had 7 points on his right side. His left side had like three. Like
Really?
it was all goofy looking and everything on his left side. So yeah, it's interesting how all that stuff
Hey,
works.
on a
So
side note, how about the Munster elk that Terry guy's posted on our page.
Oh, dude, Terry, one of our brand ambassadors, man, he posted that bull. I was like, is this AI? Like,
He's
is this
killing
for
us.
real?
He's killing us with that. It's every day. It's like, check this out. And it's like 50-point elk. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, dude. I said, we're
That
putting
thing
that
was
out there.
huge, man.
Yeah.
Like Cass is like, yeah. So where's that at?
Yeah,
What part of Kentucky is this in?
I will be on the next plane.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, that's a giant.
Yeah, and man, that's one of those things. Like, I mean, that area up there, it's not too far from y'all, is it? I mean, it's a
I'm
state
not
over,
sure
I
where
guess,
he's
isn't
at
it?
in Virginia. He's like right on the Kentucky-Virginia border, I
I think he
think.
said it was
Yeah,
about 5 hours in one day.
Yeah.
Because it
I
takes
got you.
about four to get through West Virginia because we're all the way at the top.
Yeah,
So I think yeah, it's about 5 hour drive. So,
man, they're like the elk and everything that are in that area. I guess most people don't think about that. You think elk, you think west, but
but they're
they're
also twice as hard to get tags for too.
that's what I've heard. Yeah,
So little of them, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like just north of here, like 2 or 3 hours, they got that Elk County in PA, and they got giant elk, but it's like
You can't.
maybe a lifetime you'll get a tag, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I mean that I'm assuming that comes down to somewhat just the conservation efforts and everything to try and keep them,
I think a
viable in
lot
that
of them
area.
elk down there in Kentucky and Virginia were brought in by range resources.
Yeah.
They actually, brought them in. So I don't know. I wish I knew how to like screen share a picture on my phone. Uh, my mother-in-law and father-in-law own a bar up here locally, and I was up there last night talking to a guy, and his friend was visiting her sister. He showed me this picture of this moose, and I'm no moose guy. Like I like moose are big in general. Saying this thing's got to be like a Alaska state record.
No
Like
kidding.
it's. I'll send you a picture on the email. I mean, it's just. He's like, you think this thing's big? I was like, I would have shot it.
Yeah, I'm not the best judge of moose either. I guess I guess I can ask Jim Shockey, I guess,
Yeah, yeah. Send
because
that to
he's
him and
got a
ask him
little
if we can go kill
experience.
it.
Yeah, he's got a little experience. Like, hey, is this a good one? So
Yeah, say I'm on a hunt right now. Is this a shooter I'm about to draw?
shoot or pass, yes or no. Oh man.
So you asked us earlier, Sam, when our rut is, which is usually probably the first week of November, give
Mhm.
or take. You're late, right?
I would say like that pretty consistently that second week in November for us is probably when you could probably put a pin on it on the calendar, and if you got to take some time off work normally that's when guys are going to bank on it. So I normally try to take the first couple weeks of November off. I uh I kind of got the short end of the stick this year because I have the time off, and then I got an email literally today from work saying, "Hey, you got to be in this class
Oh,
November 3rd through the 6th." And I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Because that's prime time, but I got a promotion in the spring, and I guess this is part of it now. I have to go to this class apparently, so that's fun. But
Who do I got to call to get me out of jury?
yeah, exactly. So
well, I know
it
like some friends of mine in Mississippi and Alabama and Florida, they're looking at like December, January before they see rut.
Yeah, we get a late rut. Kind of, I'm guessing it's when some of those younger does, like their first time coming into heat, when they kind of come in heat, it's more in kind of about a month later, like December in that area. So those younger does hit heat and everything for the first time, and we get a kind of a late rut in that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the prime time, the rut, we'll start seeing the does kind of, and any bucks that were hitting the feeders, they'll start tapering off, kind of probably the first few days in November, and then that second week in November, you're not going to hardly see anything on those feeders or those man-made food sources, that kind of stuff. They're going to be chasing. So
So it's close to the same. You just don't get to
yeah.
enjoy the cool weather, you know.
No, I mean, it's reasonably cool by then, man. Bow season is just the hard part because, like, our archery season, like this year, opens September 28th. But I mean, like we talked about earlier, you're hunting, and if you want to hunt, every day or evenings or whatever, you're sitting in 90-degree heat, and it's just
That's
for
all.
me, it's just like, I mean,
Yeah.
I could go out there and whack a doe, but like if I can whack a doe in the evening, I can also whack a doe in the morning if I want to. So I might as well sit a morning, so when it's cooler. But yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys too. I know we've been chatting over an hour already, and eventually I'll have to start wrapping this up. We'll
We
have to
talked
do
about that.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one, but I do want to ask y'all about y'all's show and everything because you guys are entering the podcast world as well with your show called Panhandle Whitetails. So I wanted to ask you guys about that and kind of how that came about and everything. And because we've talked about on this show before how podcasting or media production, that kind of stuff, like a lot of people probably have thoughts, ambitions, dreams, but actually pulling the trigger and making it happen takes a little bit more effort, as you guys know. So
No
where
doubt.
did that begin?
I had a buddy get a hold of me, because I talked about doing it and starting like a YouTube and doing things like that, and he was like, just go for it.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the show. Hope you guys are enjoying it. There's so many different places that you guys can tune in to Fall Obsession Podcast, and one of them is the Outdoor Call radio app. Outdoors Dan from Respect the Game TV, he created an app that you can download on any device where you can stream hunting shows and podcasts on a loop every single day. Our show, Fall Obsession Podcast, plays on that loop on Mondays. That's the same day as our new publications on the other apps. And there's also tons of other hunting shows and podcasts on there that you guys can listen to. Go download the Outdoor Call Radio app today. It is free. You can start streaming immediately. And be sure that you follow their Facebook page because Outdoors Dan does some live radio shows throughout the week. And even if you are not local to those radio stations, his broadcasts are shared on his Facebook Live. It's Outdoors Dan and the Outdoor Call Radio app. Go download it today.
So I was like, okay. So I was sitting there, and a couple of days went by, and I'm making logos and everything, and just texting back and forth. And then he's just like, "Well, why don't we just start doing a podcast?" And I'm like, well, I don't even know where to begin. He's like, "Well, I did one before, and I kind of have an idea." So we did the first one. We're all sitting there. It's all just friends, and we're just telling stories and hunting about hunting and everything, and how we met. And so that's how we got the name. It was Panhandle Whitetails. But then our series was Hunting Buddies. So it would be just stories that we had together. Jesus.
Well,
biggest fear of a podcast host right there is having something go wrong when you got to talk.
Yeah. But it was just talking about just the stories that we've had and maybe some educational things that, we could give somebody else. I mean, we're no experts, but
we made enough mistakes.
We've learned enough lessons to where we know what not to do. So
yeah, haven't we all?
So that was pretty much that. And then we kind of rolled in. I think we 6 or 7 episodes. I think we got in.
Awesome.
We're kind of in a little limbo right now, like we talked about earlier, but we're getting ready to ramp it back up again. So that would be that's going to be awesome for us. But yeah, it was just a bunch of friends. Just figured, why not? Just try it. And if something comes of it, it does. If not, but it seems like we've had a lot of positive feedback so far, and people. I've had people from different states, and I wouldn't say across the world, but there's been a lot of listeners from different areas: Arizona, Florida, Virginia, Tennessee. There's a lot of people that have messaged me and said, "Wow, that's like you said earlier." I laughed and laughed, and it was just a good time. Like it's something good to listen to that it would just bring some kind of enjoyment or enlighten your day, I guess, just talking about things that we all like and like hunting and stuff like that. So
awesome. And it seems like the podcast world has like exploded since, I guess you could say, COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And you drive down the road, it's easy to just push play. And like I drive around, I will say the country, I drive everywhere. I'm not a big flyer, so like if I can get in the truck and drive, I just assume drive.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to that. And it's kind of cool to me, even like our filming of our hunts and stuff. It's just kind of cool to me to go back and just listen. Like, oh man, I forgot about that. Or, like our podcast has turned into a lot like our campfire stories with Fall Obsession.
Yeah.
It's just like there's no agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Some like we've had one guy on for turkey hunting. One of my best friends, he loads hand load TSS shells. So like that was like you had an agenda to try to cover, but it still turned into how we met turkey hunting or how we met doing this or.
Yeah, while everybody's carrying on before we start, kind of how like we were, I just would be like, okay, what like, can we get a couple bullet points so we can stay on track? And then I'm the bad guy because I'm like, all right, well, we got to wrap this up. And they're like, we're not done yet. I'm like, well, you can come back next week or 2 weeks and we'll do it
Yeah,
again.
we'll have to do
So
another podcast. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So it's been really fun. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Never would have thought doing it. But if you have the time and you think that you can get, so I read it's like if you can get 12 episodes and people listen to it, it's probably going to be pretty good. Like if you can talk for one subject, 12 different episodes. So I think, with the amount of people that we know and stories that we could tell for days, I think, we're already at 6 or 7. I think of ideas all the time of stuff to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about. So it definitely is not boring. But yeah, if you have the time and the funds to do it, I think it's not hard. I would definitely try it if you think you can do it for sure.
I think the time and the consistency, excuse me, thing definitely comes into play the most. And then the quality too, because obviously if you're pressing play and listening to something, you don't want to be listening to just all these mistakes or, technical problems and that kind of stuff, right? So
Right.
you gotta be able to put together something worth some quality for the listener on that side of things. I say that as I actually hit my microphone on here, so ironic there a little bit, but the yeah, so I know that for the fact, and then you're right. Once you start showing that you can put together multiple episodes and everything, and have that the word that I'm looking for is slipping my mind, but obviously that record of okay, we've been doing this for a while, we're in it for the long haul type deal. That's when people will,
Well, yeah, because they don't want to like start enjoying your cast and all of a sudden like, where'd this guy go? And then he hasn't
yeah,
produced something since 2018. It's
yeah,
it's like
and
your
that
favorite show going away.
that's with anything that, especially like in media in general, but especially in the hunting industry, because the hunting industry is so saturated. There are so many people trying to do something, and anybody, it seems like, just puts the word outdoors behind whatever and calls it a channel and wants to try and make it into something. And I'm all for it, man. Like more power to you, but you got to have something to set yourself apart from everybody else that's trying to do it, right? And that's
Yeah.
ultimately what it comes down to and everything. But no, I'm excited, man. I've listened to a couple of y'all's episodes and it's a good time, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So
Yeah, we
yeah.
enjoy it. It's like I said, it's something to pass the time when you're not hunting. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably trying to kill something, but it's kind of been fun to it almost slows you down to make you you start talking and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I forgot that even happened. And
Yeah, it stirs up old memories. You learn stuff from other people that you have on the show, or it helps solidify, stuff in your own mind and stuff like that. We talked about, I can't remember if it was on the show or before, but you meet people through it that you never have the chance to meet or sit down and have a conversation with otherwise. And that those opportunities are really cool. And then you mentioned it, I think, Lawson, as far as you kind of have stuff to go back and reflect on and listen to. I don't. I can't. I don't go back and listen to every single one of our episodes,
well,
much.
you're not 6 in, you're 250, you're 270.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
I only got a few to click through.
well, and I've said this before on our show, the one that I have gone back and listened to multiple times is 166, and that was the episode that we recorded the night after I shot my mule deer in Colorado deer camp,
You're still
with
on cloud nine.
yeah, with Mike Teepee and Tim Burgess. Like I shot that deer at 12:30 in the afternoon, and by 7:30 we're in the basement of the farmhouse doing a podcast. I have gone back and listened to that several times because it was such a memorable hunt for me, and I get to, even a couple years later, relive and kind of feel again almost that same excitement that
Mm-hmm.
you had right after you killed a deer, right? And that's just, man,
Absolutely.
there's
Well,
nothing that
Mike
can
has
compare.
the YouTube page with his Northern Whitetail. So I'm kind of bum leg right now. So last night I'm watching the YouTube hunts from Red's
Yeah,
first turkey and my PA turkey that he filmed for us. I'm sending pictures like, hey, remember this? And
yeah.
I forget like on my PA hunt, we wound up calling in 3 birds and a hen cut me off and like she got extremely mad and was cutting and like stuff that you only a lot of people don't get to experience. Like your boy calling in that turkey earlier, like you don't really get to experience a vocal hen all the time.
Yeah.
And so I was watching that. I'm like, man, I'm so glad that like unless YouTube goes somewhere, I'll be able to push play and Rhett when he's 10 or 12. And he's like, Dad, you don't know nothing. I'm like, well, before you knew anything, here's the first bird that I called in for you. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
it's cool to me to be able to go back and see that.
Yeah.
Man, I've mentioned this before too. The people that like the kids now, right? And I'm talking about anybody who's like a teenager or younger right now, I feel like is the first generation that is truly going to have almost everything documented, whether it's on a legit channel or just, home video style, whatever it might be. This is the kids now are the first generation that's going to have everything legitimately documented for them to be able to go back and relive. Because,
Yep.
before then, it seemed like, I mean, I have like pictures and stuff from the deer that I killed and everything, but I don't have any of my childhood hunts on film or anything. I
Yeah.
have a few hunts like as I was, in high school into adulthood. I got a few hunts on film then, and obviously increasing ever since then into now. But um, yeah, it's generations haven't had that until now, and that's a good thing about technology, I guess, is that
Sometimes,
sometimes, sometimes.
thank God there was no videos when I was a teenager.
Yeah, there's some people, won't name any names, present company that might not have wanted that. So
Yeah, the old Razor flip phone just was not quality back then.
yeah. Well, we'll have to do another podcast, and for the sake of time, I'm gonna go to our closing questions because there are two of y'all here with me, and these might even take a couple minutes here. But as you guys know, if you've listened to the show, I got a couple questions I ask every first time guest whenever we have you on the show for the first time. So for each of y'all, I want to throw y'all the question as far as what has been your favorite hunting memory in your life so far.
You go ahead, buddy.
Well, a couple years ago, I think I talked about it on a campfire chat before. Me and my dad went and we were deer hunting. It was opening week, and we had not a lot of action. We had like a small 7 point buck that came to the feeder, and he would just come and go and come and go, and we weren't seeing much else. And he finally got to the point where he said, "If that deer comes back again, just shoot it." Like, okay, I'll just shoot it. So lo and behold, 10 minutes later, here he comes back again. I end up shooting it. And like I said, it's not a monster or anything, but I got that deer mounted, full shoulder mount and everything, just for the memory of like,
Yep.
he's not getting any younger. You know what I mean? It's like I enjoy every second I can get with him, and I wish he still had the same drive that he did when I was younger because I remember him doing what I do now.
Yep.
So I'll get home from work and I go straight to the woods. He asked me, "Where are you going hunting today?" I know you can go here, 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 here. Where are you going to go? So that was probably my favorite story that I have. Just like I said, not a monster buck story or anything crazy. Just the time we got to spend and got to shoot a deer together and take pictures. It was an awesome moment. So
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I think mine would probably be if you asked me this question 4 years ago, it would probably go right back to the guy that got me into hunting would be my dad. But I think in the last 4 years, I'm so youth driven that I could just sit here and name off probably 5 hunts with youth that I've taken. To see them take the excitement that you have is just unbelievable. Like my boy, we got it all on film this year. He killed his first turkey as a Jake, and like to hear him on the camera, we got him, and then like he's beat me to the bird. It's it didn't even flop. I mean, like he must have put the BB perfect because I mean it like flopped backwards and just didn't even flop on the ground. Just to see him run up and then I made him personally drag it back to me. It's something I'll never forget. I mean, just like I said, you you never forget who got you into the hunting. But I feel like if you were to go ask my dad, it would probably be the same story. Well, his dad or his buddies. But then when he got me into hunting, it's like he probably forgot about half the hunts he had before me. You know what I mean? Just because those memories take over, and that's just before I get out the deer stand, before I'm to the truck, I'm already calling my dad. But if it goes back to my favorite memory, it's going to be my boy being there with me. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. Most when I ask that question, I'd say at least half the folks that answer it, if not more than half, normally their response has something to do with taking somebody else hunting, whether it be a friend, a spouse, a kid, something like that. and get watching them experience it for the first time. That's consistently up there. So
It's hard to
there's something
beat.
about it. Yeah, it's hard to
Yep.
beat for sure. Well, last question I have for each of you guys, and Lawson, I think at the very beginning you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but bucket list, what's at the top? Doesn't have to be one, but for sure one hunt that's at the top of your bucket list that you guys would consider a once in a lifetime hunt for you right now.
Elk.
Elk. I
Hands
figured
down.
based on
Yeah.
what you said earlier in the episode.
I had two bucket lists, and I go to the doctor's appointment in the morning to try to get a little more movement in my leg, and I'm going back bear hunting. I want to kill a bear with my bow. It's
Yeah.
just now I'm driven into it, so now it's going to happen. But if somebody was to call me and say you have to quit your job and I'm going to give you a lifetime elk hunt, I'd be looking for a job when I got home from wherever I was going. I know for a fact that's what I'd do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I'd want to go South Africa. I know it's different, but to go shoot exotic animals like zebra, ginsbuck, stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think that would be something I'd really think hard about doing. Try to scrape all the money I got together to go do it.
Your neighbor's got a funny looking horse.
Oh, that's not no funny looking horses. Can't get horses, Malik.
Funny looking horse. Haven't
I
heard that
met,
one before.
I think that came about. I met a guy at the beach and ended up going to his house for a Christmas party in Virginia several years ago. And he did that. He went to South Africa a lot. He had above his garage was an entire, I call it a game room, not games, but wild
Yeah.
game. And he had like ostrich leg lamps and zebra rugs and full like buffalo mounts and all these water buffalo and all this just crazy stuff. I mean, the guy had endless fun, but I think that's probably where the bug bit me because I'm like, man, look at all these animals I've never seen before. I think that'd be cool.
That's awesome.
So,
well, guys, if time wasn't a thing, I feel like we could keep on going, and I love that. It's always fun just being able to talk hunting for hours, and I could certainly do it, as I imagine y'all could as well. But we do have to wrap up the show, so we'll have you guys back on before too long, and maybe after hunting season we can recap how the fall went for y'all. But before we hang it up, tell our listeners if they haven't followed your pages on social media, if they hadn't listened to the show, where can they find y'all?
Facebook or Instagram, I think both, or YouTube. We have my personal page is Lawson McKee, and then Lawson McKee Outdoors on my Instagram. Then Mike, yours is
same thing. Mike Petrosky Outdoors is Facebook and Instagram, and then on YouTube's Panhandle Whitetails, and then we have our Panhandle Whitetails podcast on Spotify as of right now. So that's where you can find all of the stories and pictures and good times that we have throughout the year if you're interested in seeing that. So
yeah. Well, awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all taking some time out of an evening to come on Fall Obsession podcast and just have a casual conversation about some hunting. Hope our listeners enjoyed it. But yeah, thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. We'll see you later.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have you guys back on for sure. Guys, make sure if you're tuning in that you go check out the Panhandle Whitetail Show, follow these guys on social media, and if you can't remember the handles or forget, I'm sure you can find them pretty frequently on the Fall Obsession pages because these are two of our more active team members that we have here at Fall Obsession. So appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for listening to another Fall Obsession podcast. I'll be back with you guys again next week. Catch you then.